Hello and welcome to my very special International Women's Day interview series. We've had a couple of wicked guests so far, and I'm really excited to be talking to Bethan Elfyn today from the BBC. Thank you for joining me, Bethan.
You're welcome, Laura. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no, that's okay. So we're going to be celebrating International Women's Day. It's literally a global event all over the world. Everyone's going to be celebrating and thinking about all the amazing things that make up being a woman of today. We have got Bethan, as I said, with us. And for those of you who don't know, Bethan is a radio presenter for the BBC. And she has a huge input into the Welsh music scene as well, playing new music, anything that she thinks is fresh every week. So again, thank you for taking the time out to talk to me. Do you want to quickly take us through a typical working week for you and maybe how that's changed as well recently?
Well, it's certainly changed recently, isn't it? I think, even 12 months into the process of working from home, as you can see where I am, I've only just kind of worked out, where it's comfortable to work, where you get the peace and quiet, where you can get the focus, getting a desk. It's been, honestly, it's taken me a year to feel comfortable working from home. But a typical working week, it's very online based at the moment. Lots of chats like this, lots of online Zoom meetings with colleagues from all over the UK. I was just in a meeting with BBC Introducing talking about the Power Up initiative from PRS. So, it's local in terms of Welsh music, but hopefully tapping into a UK kind of music story as well. My working week goes from organising what's coming up for Horizons, which is the music project, and also my Radio Wales commitments, which is getting the radio show ready, organising playlist for that, some recording at home, and putting that show together ahead of the weekend. So it's not live at the moment, but normally I'd be in a studio, but we've made a makeshift studio at home. In terms of Horizons, we've had to completely pivot what this programme was about. It was initially very much like BBC Introducing, about festivals, platforms, ways people could hear and discover new music. And we've made it much more trying to kind of provide a service really for Welsh music. So things that have become important, I think, in the last year is the new release day on a Friday. More music is coming out of Wales than ever before, but where do you go to find out about it? It's all over the place, isn't it? Radio shows, social media. And it's really nice to have one place where you've got Welsh language music, Mobo music genres, indie guitar, rock, anything, electronic. It's all about just music that's coming out of Wales. That's the only common denominator between us all. And I've honestly been so thrilled to see the proliferation of music and creativity in such a difficult 12 months for everybody. It's insane what we've all gone through. And I think the digestion of what we've had to deal with, the fears that people have faced, the mental health kind of crisis, just we've all been in crisis management for different reasons. I've been homeschooling and working, and family situations are difficult for people, work situations are difficult. So people making music on top of that has really surprised me, and I feel blessed to be doing anything connected to that layer of creativity in Wales. I think I'm just see myself as a bit of a kind of connector, a kind of central point with the Horizons team, with the BBC colleagues, of letting people know what's happening, letting people know opportunities, telling people about music being made. And really, that's the kind of essence of it, I think.
It is. It's fantastic as well to have you play such a role in the industry as well, because it's really nice how anyone can kind of reach out to you, and you obviously really enjoy your job as well. Where and when did your journey start for you, and how did you break through and reach the industry level that you're at now?
Well, I think that's the thing for anybody to remember if they're studying and stuff at the moment, and it's probably a really frustrating place. It's taken me a long time to learn what I do and how to do it well and how to enjoy it. I started off, it's all been by accident. And I think that shows that it's your passions and your interests that take you on a path. So I think for me, it goes back to coming to study in university in Cardiff. I grew up in Mid Wales, and my interest in music kind of exploded overnight in kind of teenage years, really interested in punk music and rock music. And I came to Cardiff, and being part of the music scene here, I just really delved into all aspects: dance music, amazing raves, club nights, Welsh language scene in club. There was just so much going on when I was studying. And I had a job at Spillers Records as well. So I think I was just immersed in music. And at uni, I just started doing some kind of radio work and reviewing bands, a little bit like you're doing, Laura, just putting my foot in the water, writing stuff. Didn't know whether it was going to get published. I got some pieces in a Welsh language magazine. I had my own column and writing about music. I found those pieces the other day. They were so bad. But we've all got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
then I got work as a researcher on radio, and within, I think it was a year or two, I was one of the people piloted for Radio 1, and I got an amazing opportunity then to work for Radio 1 as part of the BBC Wales. For 11 years I worked for them, and through that, just amazing opening of doors, working internationally on documentaries, DJing at festivals in different far-flung locations around the world. It was just such an eye-opener for a girl from a small town in Mid Wales to suddenly be, in Texas at South by Southwest, or New York music festivals. It was really crazy kind of how. And then even just opportunities like DJing at Reading and Leeds Festival and hosting stages and festivals. It went from me not doing any of that. It was 0 to 60. And I think one of the first jobs I had with Radio 1 was a warm-up act at the big weekend in Swansea. And Destiny's Child were playing, and Will Young was on the stage. And I just remember going up on stage and just seeing such a sea of faces. And I wasn't trained in any shape or form to be on stage, to be hosting. They just kind of threw you into it. I remember shouting into the mic until it was so distorted it sounded like so terrifying. I think I was really, really nervous, and just ended up the sound engineers probably going like this at the back. But just faces as far as I could see, and just amazing to be given those opportunities by Radio 1, and having them having the faith in you and including you in so many things that it felt for a long while like the imposter syndrome of, why am I here again? And who invited me? Am I supposed to be here? But you learn from being thrown in the deep end, and what a steep learning curve. It was crazy.
Oh, it's brilliant, really. You're able to take the most of all the opportunities you're given, because I do think as well that helps a lot within the creative industries. The more things you do, the sort of more people hear about you as well, and get to know you for what you're good at. And do you ever? Sorry, go on.
I think if anybody is interested, I think you've just got to say yes to everything, even if it's terrifying. And I certainly felt like for a long time, even now, the nerves don't go away from doing things, from being invited to new places, new cities. And you've just either got to be the type of person who wants to try, even if you fail, and you just keep saying yes until you feel comfortable. I keep saying it because I've got 2 young daughters now, and there is a nervousness about taking part in anything, even if it's online. And I just said to one of my daughters to, the actors paint on a smile when they go on stage. And when you're a presenter or even a radio host, you're not always feeling like 100% energy, but it is a bit like being an actor, where you go, okay, click into action, let's do what I've got to do, let's give this everything and paint on the smile and just go for it. And I don't mean paint on a smile in a fake way, but sometimes just to force yourself to give yourself the energy you need to do something. And the nerves are there at the back of your head, but you're not going to go on stage going. So you know, the fake smile is kind of your protection really for yourself. So I
Yeah,
hope that's good advice.
yeah, no, definitely is. It's funny you've said that, because I think every single time I do presenting, hosting, anything like that, the first 30, 40 minutes, I am so nervous. If you see me off stage, like, I'm literally shaking. But on stage, looks like I'm loving life. And once you're in the flow, you are. But you're right, every single time you do it and you step on, it can be daunting sometimes.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is.
and for yourself as well, do you find it difficult to be a woman within the creative industries? And have you ever had to overcome any challenges at all?
I'm really glad you've asked this, and I've tried to think how I feel about this. I do think for a very long time I was surrounded by male producers, male colleagues, male musicians in every aspect of my work. One of the things that I did during the 10 years at Radio 1, 11 years, was to create a female DJing kind of gang, and we'd go to the festivals together. And I think that camaraderie and allyship of having people near you that are there to support you and build you up was so important to me. Nothing against the male colleagues, because they won't understand possibly why I say that. But there's intimidating scenarios and there's intimidating situations that you can find yourself in if you're on your own. And as a DJ, turning up possibly to a festival where you don't know anyone, or a nightclub where you've never been before and you've got lost on the streets getting there. You know, there's lots of like physically intimidating situations, let alone then on top of that, the kind of, you know, getting paid at the end of the night as a DJ. You're putting yourself in vulnerable positions all the time as a woman in the industry. On top of that, I've never felt I've had so many amazing opportunities. I don't feel that it's been a barrier in terms of achieving anything, but I do wonder whether there's a glass ceiling. I just heard someone talk about it this morning, that um, how far do we push ourselves? How far do we believe in ourselves? And how much do I think that I am as good as the next person who can do it? And I think sometimes I've been racked by self-doubt rather than pushing myself to achieve more. I'm quite happy with my work, and I'll keep doing the same thing for the same pay, for the same amount, and working all hours despite the scenario. And I think sometimes I have to question whether a male colleague would do quite be as conscientious or not as, you know, happy, rather than pushing myself to be more ambitious. My kind of thought on that is, you know, sometimes you kind of come across managers who are younger than you and you kind of go, oh, okay, perhaps I didn't even think that I should try and climb that high, you know? And sometimes it's a bit of a shock when you meet male colleagues who have risen through the ranks really quickly, and you kind of go, oh, okay, I was just quite happy doing what I was doing. And so I don't think it's necessarily discrimination. Certainly intimidation, and certainly lack of confidence and lack of mentorship. And I've not had anyone kind of going, oh, your skills are amazing in this. Why don't we see where that can take you? There are more and more schemes like that these days, but certainly not for the first 10 years of my broadcasting career. It was trial and error and finding things out and working things out myself with no experience of that wider music industry either. So thrown in and, you know, learning to swim. It was, and I think now that as much as possible, my availability to artists is that thing of saying, you're going to have to work it out yourself, but you know, I am available if you want to ask any questions, because I don't think we do offer that much in Wales for people who want to push beyond what expectations they've put on themselves. You know, I think when I look around me, we struggle, don't we, with ambition in Wales, of where
We
we're going and what we're doing with it. And starting our own business? Are we really supportive of people around us who are successful? I really question that sometimes. Amazing achievement from Alicia Scott last week to reach
Yeah.
#1 in the reggae charts. But how many people are purchasing it, streaming it, talking about it, sharing it? We really should celebrate the successes around us. And it's very few people who do. And that kills me. I think that's possibly one of the most negative things about the community in Wales, that we don't really get behind each other until something's super successful, like the rugby, like sport, like chart topping acts. We need to get behind people on their way as well.
No, I do. I think it's so important. I never really thought about it like that before. But I suppose so many people are busy kind of thinking about what they're doing, and they don't have time to take out for other people. But if we can all help each other, even just pass skills on and stuff, it'll all help progress us further, and even put potentially Wales on a map in the future.
I honestly think that there are certain people who stand out because they are so good at building each other up. And the more they do that, the more that light shines on other people. It also elevates them. Some people are naturally just really good at it. And I think I've had to learn how, I think we are just all naturally, tunnel vision about what we're doing, and possibly not sort of thinking the bigger picture or wider picture and how to help other people. And I think it's a British thing as well as a Welsh thing of putting people down rather than building people up. I was talking to somebody about the American dream, and there is far more acceptability of success and big ideas over there, maybe because of the expanse of everything they've got in America. But over here, it feels a bit more petty-minded about things. I'm talking in sweeping generalizations, but I think everybody can relate to what I'm saying as well.
No, certainly. I think especially where everyone's taken time out during this last year or so to really push themselves forward, a lot of communication has been online. And so even simple things like sharing each other's posts, liking each other's posts. I personally hate it in a way because I've never been a numbers person, but it's just the world we're living in, really. So just to help big each other up as much as possible, and spread that love, and spread that amazing talent as well.
It takes a tiny effort, doesn't it, to press like?
Yeah.
And it's like, why is it such an effort for people? They just kind of don't want to do it. I can't think of any other way to see it, that they don't want to share in your joy, and they don't want to build you up by not hitting that like. It feels like a holding back something. It feels very negative to me, but there's plenty of positive people around. So we'll just keep building with those people.
Oh, definitely. And it's lovely to have such a strong network of people behind you as well. And even just one person messaging you and saying, oh, I really enjoyed that blog post you wrote, or I was having a bad day, I read that and I feel a bit better now. It makes it worthwhile, really.
Laura, what you've started is sorely in need in Wales. We don't have our own music press. Everything is online. There's very few music blogs, but you're doing interviews, and I know there are a few blogs as well. But you're somewhere for artists to turn to get that quote to put in their press release. I've seen that you do artist services as well, and it's a really lovely project that you've started. It's really a gap, I think, for it.
Oh, thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it can go, and how much I can grow with it as well. Yeah, it is. It's good things coming, I think. I've got lots of plans. Within the Welsh music scene as well, that you're a huge part of, you've been following it for quite a while now. Have you seen any particular changes within it, and where do you think the future of it is as well?
I have seen a lot of change, actually. I think I've seen just the range of music genres and pockets of activity grow. We're still very DIY in Wales. We're still very much let's do it ourselves, instead of we still don't have a big record label that has a connection with the major labels. For example, a lot of independent record labels in England have a route then to majors to be released. I don't think those networks are kind of up and running yet. But what we have got is loads and loads of independent record labels, loads of people professionally working with music, whether they can exist with that money or whether they do another job alongside. But, the range of skills that have grown have proliferated. There's more and more. When I think back to the kind of 80s and 90s when I first came to Cardiff to taste the music scene, it very much was a Cardiff thing. The Welsh language scene was separate from the English scene. The rock scene was its own pocket in the South Wales valleys, whereas everything is a kind of a bit bigger. The rock bands are going further. The DJs and producers are kind of, getting international. It's the success is different from that 90s band's success. Kelly Lee Owens, for example, possibly isn't a household name in the same way as Stereophonics, but is in the top of every critical magazine in terms of releases last year, So Music World, top of her genre. But what we experienced in the 90s was 4 or 5 bands just doing incredibly well. Now we've got incredible talent that is, supported by Six Music or One Extra, or there's just more and more variety. But I'd still like to see it grow.
Oh, definitely. I think that's what's really nice about it as well, especially all the collaborations that I've seen happen over the last couple of months. And so it's just brilliant seeing it grow as much as it has, and hopefully continue to, as you said.
And I think what we've also seen is, Focus Wales and the work around Wrexham has been really exciting. Much more going on in the Swansea music scene. We're seeing instrumental music venues like Le Pub, and Sam is representing Wales with Music Venues Trust. People's professionalism is growing and just putting Wales on the map in so many different ways.
Oh, it is. It's brilliant. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in terms of live shows and stuff as well, because we've had some news of restrictions being lifted. So I'm just really hoping I get to a couple of shows by the end of the year. I cannot wait to just be there and be fully immersed in live music. I just want to stand next to a speaker. I just want a really dirty bass.
I'm everything crossed. I'm kind of worried about getting too excited about it before we know exactly what's going on. And I don't think having specific dates is helpful, because who knows what's around the corner. And like Christmas, who knew that was coming? That was such a shock to have that urgent lockdown. So I'm really worried about kind of letting myself dream about freedom. But obviously, yeah, missing the scene a lot. But for me, it become more about festivals than gigs.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how that will change, whether will the festivals kind of open up possibly before the venues? I don't know. Will Reading and Leeds think they're going ahead this summer? And I find that really hard to believe or fathom. I really do. Like 100,000, 200,000 people in a field? Really? So
I've been crossed for sure, for sure. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they do it as well. Hopefully, we'll have to see. I'm just wondering for yourself as well, Bethan. A lot of your work is done from home at the moment, but how can people follow you, support you, and keep up with everything that you're doing as well?
I'd love people to tune into the radio. That's on every Saturday night. You can hear it on BBC Sounds. Just look for my name on Sounds. And I feel sometimes that people don't necessarily keep up with what's happening, and then isolate themselves from the scene. And it's such an exciting scene. I just love people to be more invested. And then at Horizons Cymru for all the music project, I've just posted today about opportunities and closing dates for things coming up. So if people are interested and invested, they'll see lots of good things coming their way. If people are just in their isolated little bubble themselves and their social circles, then they won't. And I just want people to kind of invest a bit more in looking out.
No, that's brilliant, 'cause I think there's so many opportunities that are presented to everyone really. So going back to what we said at the beginning as well, always make the most of everything you can. Put your foot in every door that you can, and who knows where you'll go when.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear from people and um, help people as much as possible with advice and things like that. If I don't respond straight away, it's because there's quite a heavy load of emails and music coming in, but it's always worth a try, isn't it?
No, definitely, and I just really want to thank you as well for the chat today. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I've learned so much. And I hope all of viewers, absorb as much as they can from it. Are you going to be celebrating International Women's Day today?
There's going to be plenty going on across Horizon's social media all week, and hopefully some nice interviews as well, copying you. But
Yes.
thanks, Laura. And I
No,
just want to wish you all the best with your project. I think it's really exciting for Wales, and congratulations for starting it up. It's so cool. Well
oh,
done.
thank you so much. That means so much coming from you. I've always looked up to you. So thank you for doing what you're doing as well. It's nice to have someone to look up to and aspire to be really. Have a really nice day.
Oh, thanks, Laura. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank
Ta-ra.
you. Bye.